This is the Sunrise Soul Flow back again, where we hit live and see what happens. Go for a little walk on the beach and just see what flow appears as we glow along here. Hmm. We are being called, as always, to smile more. To not take this life so seriously. To not get caught up in the worldly drama and your own dramas. Play your role, play the part, and play it to its fullest. But don't get caught up in the story. Don't get caught up in the identity. Don't get this idea, this lie identity idea that what is happening to you and your perceived history and everything that has gone is who you truly are. It's the fullness of who you are, because this all-encompassing reality is so convincing. it's we've designed it that way. If you were to always know the truth of who you are, you couldn't have these experiences of being a human, being a poor me, being a grand me, being the one who loses, the one who wins, the one who has, the one who hasn't. It has to be a very convincing illusion. It has to be a convincing reality, and it is. It works very well. But it's this balance of mastery, of knowing that I am everything, and knowing that I am currently looking through a lens called Martin, called you, called whatever it is you happen to call yourself in this life, whatever it's meant to mean. But it's so easy to get lost in that. Like, that's actually who you are. Like, that's actually what is true about you. That the collection of stories, the collection of feelings and emotions and thoughts and dramas and risings and fallings and comings and goings, it's very convincing that that's who you are. We are what has happened to us. We are this body. We are just this collection of randomness. And the truth is that one part of us is embodying that now. The truth of who we are is never touched by any of that. It doesn't get lost when you're lost. It doesn't get sad when you're sad. It doesn't get happy when you're happy. It doesn't get joyful when you're joyful. It doesn't feel less than or more than. It actually doesn't have any identity at all. It doesn't have a story, but it allows all stories. It allows us as one perspective on infinite potential to experience in its fullness anything that we so choose. So what do we so choose? Do we choose to be a victim of circumstance? Do we choose to be a grand one? Do we choose to be the villain or the victim? We get to choose. Oh, what was that? We have a little water creek. Ah! Fish, little fish jumping out of the water. I don't know what they're doing. Let's see if we catch them. Maybe they're catching something on the surface, but there's very small little fish jumping out of the water. You normally see that in rivers. I don't remember seeing it in the sea. Like a small fish, like really small. Not. Uh, see, you see how nature gives the perfect pattern breakers, perfect little stories flowing just to shift, because life. You can be talking about something, flowing about something, an idea about something, and what does life do? Life throws you a fish, slaps you in the face. Life throws you curveballs. Life throws you opportunities to become. I heard something yesterday which is really powerful, and I know I live it. That life will always show us who we are. Show it, not in the grandest sense. This is where we're going into the story, the idea, the current focus. In this case, Martin, in your case, whatever name you're giving yourself today, that life will give you opportunities to really show you who you are by putting pressure on you, by squeezing you. When things are fine and dandy and everything's going well and you're with the right people and there's not so much challenge in your life, it's very easy to be in a comfort zone of who you thought you were, who you believed yourself to be, who you're being told you are, kind of role maybe that you've fallen into. But what life does brilliantly, amazingly, and beautifully, it doesn't feel like it always, but is that life squeezes us, life puts pressure on us to find out who we really are. To think of sacred divine sisters who give birth to life, that squeeze, that pressure it takes for a woman's body to transform, to allow life to move through it. That generally doesn't happen. There are cases, remember when we were going through our pregnancy, there are cases of like absolute blissful births with absolutely no pain, so never blanket statement. There's ways and people that can do that, but I would say, I feel like I'd be confident in saying that the majority of women that have went through that process felt some form of pain, and some much more than others. But if you think about that transformation and that gift and that magic that happens, how a woman's body changes to allow the birthing of life to open to life, like that comes with real pressure, real physical pain, real challenge. And those moments, I often talk with my beautiful divine beloved when she's challenged with something, because I watched her on our bed at home give birth to our son with breathing and some massage for me and some limited support. And so I often remind her, when she thinks that something is challenging. Of course, in the moment, everything it's like pain is pain. But I often remind her like how strong, like to have that natural birth, to have that strength to go through that at home, at whatever age she was older than supposedly you're supposed to do that. I'm not even going to get into that, but it's just magic how life brings us these opportunities to strengthen, to become more of who we are, and to lift us out of a limited idea maybe of self. And it comes from pressure, and it comes from challenge, and it comes from life wants to ever evolve, life wants to grow, life wants to become more of itself. Life already is all of itself, but through a physical form and through a physicalized world. Life can experience through all of this the becoming of itself, the experiencing of itself, the gestation period, the birthing, the becoming, the new life. So yeah, going back to what was shared at the beginning is, especially if you're going through, it feels like humanity, we're going through a birthing period. We are going through a birthing period of a new reality, of a new human, a new potential, a new idea of what it means to be a human on the earth, and what does it mean to be who you are in your community, in your environment. And that is changing a lot. People, I'm sure when you're watching this, it's always true that life is always changing, life is always becoming, and life is always evolving and becoming more of itself. And if we are too rigid and too serious and too stuck on what was before, wow, the colours in this water is beautiful. The sun should be coming up soon. Lovely purples and yellows and other colours that I don't know the name of. But if we're very rigid and we're very tight and we hold on to an idea of how life should be, why life should be, the way that it worked before, and that, you know, the world stage and the whole human collective and everything that is going on is constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. It's constantly becoming. And if we get caught in the story, if we get caught in the drama, if we get caught in the current expression being all that there is, that's what's real, we can get very much lost. And again, it's like this fine balance of mastery is like we are here to be full out the character that we have set for this life. But that character is not fixed. And that character and those co-stars we just come back from Costa Rica, the co-stars that you've set up in your movie are all parts of you. They just appear as separate. You appear to be listening to my voice, but it's just like when we're having a dream at night and we see other characters. Those other dreamed characters are just our consciousness expressed as another being. So you hearing this voice now and seeing this video and looking at this beautiful backdrop is all existing in your consciousness. And each one of us has a unique viewpoint of consciousness, and we create all the characters and the plot and the play so that we can experience ourselves as the becoming of more life. And if we take that, again, if our role is somber and sad and, you know, always challenging, the greatest method actors, they fully become their role. And that's powerful, and that's how we really, you know, really live this life, is to fully act it out, fully give it your all. But if we always take it so seriously, if we're always, you know, complaining, hands up, anybody complain once or twice? If we know this stuff and we are the masters of forgetting. This idea that we've come here to, you know, collapse these systems and all of these things and all the stories that we play out. We're meant to forget all of this. We choose to forget all of it so that we can become all of it. Because when you already know you're all of it, when you already have the full knowing that you are the all of everything, and everyone in your dream is, the dream character is an aspect of you. All the other reflections are an aspect of you. The rock is a part of you. The water is a part of you. You don't appreciate and don't value, and you don't really engage in the fullness of life until you've forgotten it and you don't know what you've got until it's gone, kind of idea. You don't appreciate or you don't value what you've got until it's gone. And this whole reality, this whole dream is like that. So it's this fine line of balance of playing your life full out, playing your character full out, and not taking it so seriously, not letting it define you, not letting it overtake you so much that it doesn't become fun anymore. There's no joy in life, there's no spark, there's no curiosity. It becomes mundane, the drudgery of the poor little me. You know? It's easy to forget. Not even that it's easy to forget, it's literally set up so that we do forget. We literally set it up. I've been receiving this thing recently, which I never quite heard it like this before. And a lot of times we talk about the matrix and the veil, and this veil is sometimes seen as something imposed upon us. The matrix is something imposed upon us. The matrix I've recently looked at the etymology of the word matrix, and a lot of it goes back to like the mother. The mother is the matrix, the mother energy. Ma. Ma is one of the seed phrases in language. You know, when a baby says mama and papa, it's not really the language there. They're actually seed phrases of mother and father. And the me, ma, and the matrix is part of the mother, the feminine. And everything can be defined and refined in different ways. If you take the Matrix like the movie, and you know, this satanic overlay and the illusion that's placed upon prime reality, which is the delusion of the mind, is another way of looking at it. But going back to this veil, is that it's been coming recently, is like the veil is like a compassionate veil. The veil is like a gift, not a curse. It's not like a blindfold that, I don't know if this is compassion or not, but I'm seeing a vision of where they, with horses, where they put like blinkers at the side so they can just look forward. Again, I'm not a great fan of those things, but I think it's used so that that their sight is going forward and they're not getting distracted by all of these things. Well, it's been coming recently about, the veil, and how the veil is actually a compassionate thing. The veil is set in a compassionate way, so that we don't see everything. So we don't, like, our consciousness would not be able, actual consciousness that is instantaneously, if you close your eyes and open, wherever you are, how long did it take consciousness to take in everything that is there? What effort did you have to place to take in the all of everything? No, consciousness instantaneously takes in everything. And as one aspect of consciousness, focused in a physical body, apparently separate from the rest of consciousness, it would be so overwhelming. And anyone who's had mystical experiences will attest to this. Whenever you're just open to everything is open, it can be completely overwhelming. And so the veil is a compassionate veil to allow us to have, can you imagine just walking around? And again, if you've had mystical experiences, something you've had these experiences where you walk around and you're just open to everything. I remember there was a period in 2016 after, I'm gonna get to that. I just love how the sand can change this this environment so much. I walk up and down this beach very often. Look at this rock here. I have to show you this rock as well. It's so beautiful. Look at that. But the level of the sand changes the look of this so completely, because sometimes this sand level is very low and these rocks seem quite high, and today the sand level is very high and these rocks seem smaller. It's just amazing how that works. But yeah, there's one period in it was before I met my wife, so it was 2014, I guess, or maybe 2015, where I was in a period of literally, I don't know, it wasn't a job because I was self-employed, but I was working in real estate in Dubai. I say working, I was doing absolutely no working, I was just meditating, and the label was that I was supposed to be doing a job. I don't know how I even survived that, but there was a period where I had an experience with the sacred plant medicine ayahuasca, and for I don't know how long of a period after that, but maybe 2 weeks, I was in a state of absolute love, absolute bliss. I could fall in love with a tree for a day. Like my consciousness was so open and so completely expanded that I really don't know how I functioned in the real world. Well, I was functioning in the real world probably for the first time. Outside of doing breath work, and that was the only other time where I experienced like just the love of everything. I fall in love with the stone. I remember just sat looking at a tree one time. But then life, what does life do? Gives us these openings to see a potential, an opening expanded, not to stay there, is to be the love that we are whenever the contraction happens. Going back to my wife's birth, natural birth at home, you know, they call contractions in the, oh, if I open this, let's say the medical community called it contractions. Just think about this for a moment. A woman's body is opening, transforming in a magical, mystical, incredible way. And somehow, probably some male doctor one time says, oh, whenever your body starts to open in that way and you start to feel pain, what should we call it? Oh yeah, let's call it contractions. Let's call it something to go, it's closing. Yeah. We were given with an amazing sister who took hypnobirthing, was one of the courses that we did, myself and Elise. And she reframed contractions into waves, which is amazing. A wave is coming. I'm not saying that a sister doesn't feel contractions, but if we, it's the opposite. It's like everything in the medical system. Again, I don't want to open that door because I'll never get out of it. But reframe to a wave. A wave. It's opening, it's flowing, it's moving. What's a contraction? Contraction is it's like this. It's squeezing, it's closing. It's the opposite of what the process that is happening. And with that, I've completely lost track. So we were obviously going somewhere with that. I have no idea. Came to give me a wee kiss there. I have completely lost track. So, not taking life too seriously, smiling more, having fun. Can you have fun? Can you be light whenever things get contracted? There we go, that's what it was. Whenever life contracts, I'm going to use the contraction when we're not in the birthing room of birthing new life, although we're always birthing new life. When life squeezes you, when life, can you continue with, because again, it's easy when things are going well, it's easy when things are, everyone's light and happy and, everything's in a row. But life shows you who you are whenever, again, the woman's body reveals the miracle of nature when them waves comes in and it opens up. It opens up in ways that you just can't, if you've ever experienced that or of course me, just witnessing it from the other side, it's like an absolute miracle. Oh my God, I keep getting pulled into this. I'm trying to keep it out of the medical thing, but I have to just share this one, like the giving of, the absolute pinnacle of health in the human form, which is a pregnant woman, has been made into an illness, a sickness, something to be afraid of. Everything in this distorted insanity has been turned upside down, inside out, inverted to the most ridiculous stuff, and we've just kind of accepted it. This is the absolute pinnacle of majesty and beauty and health, and we've somehow, as humans, made it into an illness, made it into something that's risk, or that there's something wrong. I think nature's done it pretty decent. By the fact that I am here, I think nature's pretty much got it worked out how life and birth and all of that has gone on. Pretty much done a good job for a few 100,000 years, million years. And then some little white Sith came along one time. Again, I'll not go there, but it's the picture of health. And whenever that process happens, the woman and her body really gets to see who she really is, what she's capable of, like so much beyond what would, in normal circumstances you would believe would be possible. And so if you're in a season of life where you're getting squeezed, where you're getting pushed, where you're getting pulled, and I mean if you've got a pulse and you're breathing, which would be probably a prerequisite for watching this video, I would highly doubt that you haven't been pushed, pulled, or squeezed in the last week, month, year, because we are in a birthing process as humanity, and the waves are coming. The waves are flowing, and we get the choice to tell the story, to respond to what is happening in the way that we choose. We don't get to choose what is happening. We don't get this spiritual jargon bullshit to create your reality thing, this false idea. You don't get to choose what happens. You get to choose how you respond to what happens. And this create your reality thing has been so prolific. And I feel the sharing of it is shared from some fields, has been shared in from the perspective that is serving, let's say. But most of it has been completely distorted, completely misunderstood. You don't get to choose what happens. I'm an all-powerful creator. I'm just going to stop these waves. I create my reality because I watched some channeling on YouTube, and I'm just going to stop the sun from rising today. I create my reality so everyone is going to treat me exactly as I want today. The world is going to be in infinite peace, and I did it. That's the create your reality. Especially when it's the good things, but when it's the things that are happening in the world that are not so fun. Hands up, anyone seen one or two of those recently? No, I don't create my reality. Or no, the flip side of the word, even worse, now I'm such a bad person. I'm a bad creator. I'm doing it wrong. I'm creating all of these bad things. What we are creating is our version of a reality that already exists. And so if that is true, we are free and willing, of course, as any free will being, to take on any story and any idea, or not. But if you humour me and humour us for a little moment, if that were true, would you continue to tell the story that you're telling now? Would you continue to, at times, be serious, at times be complaining, at times, feeling that something or someone else has to change for me to be happy, for me to be fulfilled, for me to get what I want, to experience what I want? Is there an idea that there is some lack in the world, that if something or someone else changes, then I can get my share? There's a limited share of happiness, there's a limited share of fulfillment. It's like a cake, and there's just this limited amount, and only some people get it. And if I get some of mine, someone else has to lose. This is the other inverted insanity. No other creatures anywhere have been duped into this. Again, this is a self-imposed insanity. Self-imposed insanity. Jamiroquai could probably sing a good song, something like that. A self-imposed insanity of lack, of poor me, of victim. And again, full compassion, full heart, full truth. From the level of human consciousness, from the level of the body, from the level of everything that we see, are there victims of insanity? Absolutely. Is there horrendous things happening in the world stage that are seen now? Absolutely. Are there unspeakable things under the surface that aren't being shown? Absolutely. And and we get to tell the story as to how we respond to that. How do we be a part of that? Firstly, how do we see our part in it? For we are never a part, A-P-A-R-T, we are a space part. We are a part of everything. So we are a part of all of those things just mentioned and all of the beautiful things. So how can we firstly see that we are a part of everything and bring the fullness of who we are to the life and what all that means, which is all of the challenges and all of the joys, bring the fullness in. And we're adding a third and today, is not take you or the word so serious that it becomes a drag, that it becomes horrible, that it becomes a burden. When life becomes a burden or you become a burden to life, it's one story. It's one story that we can tell. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's just one story. And if you feel like you're a burden to life or life is a burden to you, and that story doesn't feel like it's serving you any longer, hands up anyone, then we are free to choose that story or change that story. We are free to be a new version of that story, new version of that part. And so if we can smile more, if we can smile, like I had an opportunity recently to smile and stay calm and stay peaceful in a place where I normally would never do that. And I was actually, for the most part, able to do it. There wasn't a lot of smiling, but there was a lot more calmness in a experience that before would definitely not have brought that. And inside there were still challenges, but it's a continuous work. It's a continuous becoming. It's a continuous opportunity to choose. Am I going to be part of the problem? Am I going to enhance what is appearing that is what is not part of my new story? Or I choosing to tell a new story? Am I choosing to smile where I frowned before? Am I choosing to meet hatred, antagonism, anger, judgment with lightness, with neutrality? It's simple, but it is definitely not easy. I confess, hands up, who's getting that all the time, you know. But we get to tell a story. We really do get to tell a story, and we can test this. We can test this in simple ways. This is the example I always like to give. You know, everybody, if you've breathed a day or two on life, in this life, more than 20 years, you will have had experiences in your life where when that experience was happening, it was the worst thing ever. It was a disaster. It was the end of a relationship, the collapsing of a business, as an illness, as losing a lot of money, losing a loved one, whatever it happens to be. And in that moment, whenever it was falling apart, whenever you are feeling the heartbreak, whenever you are on the desperation, whenever you were the low, you know, the very low point, it felt like it was a curse. It felt like it was a horrible experience. It felt the depths, that you were taken to the depths. You were shown who you are on the down curve of the wave. And then with time, with hindsight, with experience, with the gift of the ability to view from an expanded viewpoint through the lens called time, which is actually all simultaneous, that thing that we used to call the biggest curse actually became one of the greatest blessings. That breakdown became a breakthrough. Something that you cried about, you could laugh about. Something that was terrifying, you could at least be neutral about. If that is true for that, everything in this reality is a microcosm of everything else. It's a fractalization of everything else, meaning principles underlie this illusion. There's actually principle in it. There's underlying fundamental principles, and those underlying fundamental principles apply at all levels. And if that is true, if that is a truth, then something that is true in principle for any circumstance can be and will be true if you choose it to be for any aspect of that, because principle is principle. When you go into this water and you know the principle of buoyancy, you've learned, you haven't even learned, you've remembered the principle of buoyancy. When you go in there and you know the principle of buoyancy, you will float. If you are a super spiritual, beautiful being, you're the most beautiful being of light, and I said, I stand you here. And then we get the most evil, dark shadow figure, and I put them here. And we send you both into the water. And you, the love and light, absolute fairy unicorn princess of the world and universe, has not remembered the principle of buoyancy, and the evil, dark, menacing, dark one does know the principle of buoyancy. He will float and you will drown. It's not like the good ones get saved in the boat. It's simply a principle. So in this reality, the principle of buoyancy, the principle of being able to float in water, doesn't say you've been a good girl today, so you can float even though you haven't remembered the principle of buoyancy. So, because everything is a fractalization of everything else in the life, if you've ever had an experience where at one time you give it one meaning which was negative, and at another time you give it a meaning that was positive, that is possible for every single experience if you allow that principle to be revealed in your life. So you can choose in the moment, again, simple but not easy. You can choose in the moment whenever something is squeezing you, something is contracting, something is challenging you, to see, I don't know what it is. It would be pointless if we just knew what it was all the time. I don't know what it is, but somehow, some way, somewhere, somewhen, this will be revealed as something that is a blessing to my life. Somehow, I don't know how now, Brankai, but this will be revealed as a blessing in my life. This will open a door that I don't know where it's leading to. This will, at one time, show me something that I couldn't see otherwise. Again, simple but not easy. If we don't take ourselves and life so seriously, if we allow ourselves to see that these fundamental principles of life are fractalizations, it's just a fancy word that just means that everything is a microcosm or a macrocosm of itself. Everything is another version of the one thing that is in a different expression. Then we can begin to, in the moment, not make it take 30 years. It doesn't have to take 30 years to get the gold. Again, we don't have to know the details, but if we can have this fundamental underlying principle that life is God, God is good, good comes to me, through me, and as me. The only thing we add in the little brackets, it's eventually. Eventually, everything that you thought was a horrendous trauma in your life will be seen from some level of consciousness, will be seen as an incredible gift. Again, it's not about jumping, it's not about bypassing, it's not about trying to step over life experience just to jump to something beautiful because we just want to focus on that. It's knowing that every circumstance, like a seed, has the seed of potential of beauty within it. And without knowing what it is, if we can just have that fundamental principle that life is working for me, through me, as me, always. And I might not always know how, I might not always know why. Allow ourselves to be in the mystery, but if we can know that there is a gift and everything is preparing us, everything is that seed getting ready to burst open to fulfill its essence, what it is here to become, then we can not take ourselves so seriously, not take life so seriously, play full out as the character and the role and the life that we are here to play, but we're also soft, we're also gentle, we're also joyful, we're also light. We're not just one thing, we're all things. And this fractalization, these microcosms and macrocosms are incredible gifts. We just have to put in the brackets eventually. For some of them it's obvious. For some, you know right away. This beautiful soul being has arisen. So we began by being told to lighten up, smile more, don't take yourself so seriously. And we went all sorts of directions. And I'd love to hear from you in your comments. Can't see the screen, but in the comments, what you feel about this. Are you being challenged at the moment? Are you being squeezed? Are you, is what's shared here sounds like complete bullshit and you don't know what I'm going through and you don't understand it? It's fine. Or the other side, you can say, oh, life is amazing. Life is so good. Life is beautiful. Don't know what you're talking about. What's these challenges? What's these? Because there's always a wave. But that rising and falling wave, that coming and going, that up, that down, by the very fact that we can talk about it, in the same way as we share a lot, by the very fact that we can narrate our life, means there is something watching that wave. There is something knowing our life that is not touched by those ups and downs. There is something that knows you when you've fallen down and you've picked yourself up. There's something that sees the vacillations of your life, and that never vacillates. That doesn't rise, it doesn't fall, it doesn't come, it doesn't go. It doesn't speak to you one day and not speak to you next. It doesn't love you when you're behaving in the way that you're supposed to. It doesn't see good and evil. It simply is the ground of being, the heart of being, the truth of all being. And that is the silence, is the truth, is the one with no name, with no story, with nothing to gain, with nowhere to go. Simply perfect unto itself, allowing all the perfection to be as it is. And in this space, in this empty place, God is. So thank you for joining this little morning rising, God rising soul flow. Put in the comments where you're joining from. Let us know if you're on replay. Let us know you are a time traveler, and we shall share some more of this as we move forward. And I would just like to remind this one and anyone who cares to listen that I am on a life mission to ignite, unite, and highlight 144,000 heart leaders living and giving their unique genius in the world, and to impact and inspire the next 7 generations on Earth, leaving a legacy of love. Until next time, from my heart to yours, the divine in me sees, loves, and honors the divine in you. Namaste. We are